Public comment, again, everybody gets 5 minutes to speak. Once everybody has had a chance to speak, we can come around again, but I want to make sure everybody gets a chance before any one person speaks twice. And obviously, in the spirit of the season, be nice. Skip.
Yeah. I'm Skip Barside. I've lived in Stone Arabia for just a few months, less than 70 years. A good many times, and by the way, there's nobody in this room or any place else that appreciates our great fire companies more than I do, and I did it in print recently. Now, this fire pond business, I heard probably 50 years ago. It would be very nice if you could have an absolutely central location for it. However, the place to put it is where there's enough water to have it. Now, I talked to Leonard Logan a while ago, who probably has one of the best locations for it. Location-wise on Nellis Road, it's a little smaller road. However, the amount of water there is probably more than most any other place in the town of Palatine. He didn't have any objection, but nobody had even approached him about it. And that's kind of along with what you just said a little while ago.
Thank you, Skip. Paul,
May I approach the board? Sort of coincidental, you're here tonight, and I want to read this. I'm sure some of the board members aren't aware. This is posted on social media. I'll even give you one, Trustee Vandenberg. You
Don't
wrote
call me
it.
trustee, Paul, it's councilman.
Well, you might not be that for long. This was written to me on website from Mr. Vandenberg. Now, Paul, you realize that it made the board's job just a little bit harder every time you brought up manufactured mistakes, like the supposed lack of coverage for the St. Johnsville Fire Department every chance we got. We made enough mistakes that your job of making up our mistakes was cut out for you. I'm aware that one informant in particular was giving you information before the board even saw it. I'll be curious to see if your criticisms stay the same, get worse, get better, or the next 2 years. We all have our own political views. That's what makes this country great. But there's a line. Here's the line. When you come after me and slander me personally, we're going to court. I'm telling you right now. This is as it reads. You do better not to come to the meetings as toasted as you've been doing. Apparently, drunkenness is a real Elks Club problem, with other notables from the Republican group representing here. Mr. Vandenberg, I just want to give you a little heads up. When you choose somebody out for something, you best know what you're talking about. I haven't had a drop to drink in 10 years, and you're damn right I still don't drink. Thank you.
Paul, thank you for expressing yourself so vehemently. I apologize to you. I don't know whether you've had somebody to drink or not. You may be standing out in the wind in the afternoon before you come to these meetings. That would give you the same sort of red face you have now.
I'm Irish.
Okay.
Then you want to talk to your neighbor there. Chris and I glow in the dark.
Well, okay.
Maybe he drinks too before he comes.
You have my apology.
Yeah. You don't have to apologize to me. You have to apologize to me and the voters of the town of Palatine. My request, Supervisor.
We received your comment, duly noted.
And I still got 2 minutes. I still got 2 minutes. Excuse me?
You concluded
You
your
ran your
comment.
mouth for the last half hour.
Michelle.
Good evening, Michelle Whiteman, 8 School Street, Nelliston, town of Palatine, 57-year resident of the town. 9-year member and currently the exalted ruler of the Canada Fort Plain Elks Lodge, where I've been the exalted ruler 3 times now. We are a lodge, not a club. A fraternal organization celebrating our 150th anniversary on January 18th of 2018. In case you are unfamiliar with our great organization, which obviously Mr. Vandenberg you are, here is a little info on what we stand for, who we stand for, and why. Our mission statement: to inculcate the principles of charity, justice, brotherly love, and fidelity. To recognize a belief in God. To promote the welfare and enhance the happiness of its members, of which Mr. Daw is a fine member. To quicken the spirit of American patriotism. To cultivate good fellowship. To perpetuate itself as a fraternal organization and to provide for its government. The Benevolent and Protective Order of Elks of the United States of America will serve the people and communities through benevolent programs, demonstrating that elks care and elks share. Our local lodge gives thousands and thousands of dollars to our community every single year. We promote youth programs, support local youth programs. Veterans, maybe that hits home to you. We support veterans. Handicapped, both youth and adults. We promote programs for the elderly, animal welfare programs, and much, much more. Benefits are held at our organization on almost a monthly basis to help those people in our community suffering with losses such as homes due to fires, life-threatening illnesses, deaths, and so on. Let me note to you also that we pay a significant amount of money each and every year in real estate taxes. We are not exempt from real estate taxes. We pay probably $8,000 a year in town, county, village, and school taxes. We are a membership of just over 200 people. Our lodge has a bar. It's part of the privilege of membership to have a social quarter. I happen to bartend in that lodge once or twice a week, and I have never seen Mr. Daw have a drink. And even if he did, so what? That's a privilege of membership to come to that lodge. And what you're saying as far as this statement with apparently drunkenness is a real Elks Club problem, with other notables from the Republican group representing here. Yeah, there's quite a few members that are Republicans. Ron Geigert has been a member for many, many years. He's a fine gentleman. Linda Logan's a member. Mr. Daw, myself, my husband has been a member for 36 years. I'm astounded that you would say such things about such a great organization that has a big part of mine and my family's heart involved. I appreciate if you publicly, in the newspaper, make an apology.
My apologies,
Hey, this
Michelle.
is not a back and forth.
No, it's not.
This is, when later in the agenda, you will have the John.
Thank you. John McClone, Palatine Bridge. 2 points, and this is relevant to the conversation that the clerk had regarding prepayment of 2018 taxes. The IRS issued a technical services bulletin today, which has the justifications for 2018 prepayment. One of them is that you must be assessed for 2018. So what I'm sure the folks in Fonda will be more aware of it. It just literally came out today. That may mean that people will be less willing or less incented to pay their taxes before December 31st. It's a 2-condition statement from the IRS.
Got it.
Point of information there. Secondly, I did miss the November meeting, I'm sorry, but I had an opportunity to read the Denopoli audit report in full. And I didn't know whether there were comments at the November meeting given on the findings there. Some of them were obviously alarming, and I didn't know whether there was an opportunity in November or an opportunity today to speak to that much weighted report. Thank you.
Janice Collender. I just wanted to thank Supervisor Nicole, outgoing Councilman Neil Yurden for their community service. I'd also like to make one statement. I'm very disheartened to hear what's happened and said here tonight. It's been a horrible 4 years with people just battling each other, different groups, people saying things they shouldn't say that they don't really mean. And I've seen it from all sides. Everybody is on social media saying negative things. It doesn't produce good feelings. It doesn't produce a good community effort. And some of the people making complaints today, I have sat in meetings over a 3-year period where I have had people sitting behind me calling the supervisor a bitch and another word that starts with a C that I don't think any woman should be called. So I've seen this for years, and I don't think anybody can be throwing stones at a glass house because other information can come up. I think it's a time for healing, and I think people should just stop and try to work together now in this community. It's for the community. It's not for individual egos. That's it.
Thank you.
Nancy Claiborne. I'd like to also extend my appreciation for Supervisor Nicole for the years of service you've put through the community. And I'd also like to thank Councilman Yurden, especially for your ongoing support to the planning board. You've, as the liaison to the planning board, you've been essential in guiding us and supporting us, and we really appreciate that.
Thank you. Any other comments?
My name is Earl Spencer. I'm the majority owner of a home in Palatine and the property manager of another home in the town of Palatine. Tonight is a continuation of my campaign against consolidation of local governments and services. We've already lost our voice in the county government with the change to a legislative body that only goes to Fonda. The logical next step for us is to lose the services currently provided by town governments. Therefore, this is a discussion that needs to be held. We cannot afford a wait-and-see attitude because by then it will be too late. Consolidation efforts are alive and well both by the state and the county. The state is ready to throw money at governments that will consolidate, and the county legislator is already questioning the snowplow contracts with the towns. This may well be your last chance to push back for home rule. It's going to be up to the towns to prove that local governments indeed are cheaper and more efficient than the consolidated effort with expanded bureaucracies and broader powers. If there ever was a time to prove that local leaders can govern better than Fonda or Albany, it is now. Does this mean that past performances by towns can shut down the push to consolidation? Probably not. There are plenty of town actions that need to be reevaluated to demonstrate good stewardship of taxpayer dollars. One is the continuing filling of highway superintendents' toy boxes with millions of dollars of questionably rationalized highway equipment to the point that Palatine, for example, is known as the Cadillac of highway equipment investing in the county. A second major issue that this town has not yet faced is the town hall building. There still is an undercurrent to spend $600,000 or more to build one, while others consider a conservative reconfiguration and upgrading of the current hall more than sufficient. One of the apparent roadblocks in this case is the current town justice's ability to hold the council hostage to his way of thinking and thus the whole case remains in limbo. These examples, however, are not the focus tonight. Rather, they are indicative of the misdirection of leadership in the towns. So what needs to be done? The first and major step has to be taken by the town council. The council has to take back the town. We're not talking about a revolution, but simply a return to the basics of governing. The town council and the supervisor are elected by the people to run the town. That does not mean they go out and plow the roads. What it does mean is they establish policy and rules as to how the town is to be operated. These policies and rules then are carried out by the elected, appointed, and paid employees. My apologies if this is starting to sound like Civics 101, but it appears that the running of the town has morphed into employees telling the council how they will run their areas, and the council simply validating these dictates. To turn this around, the council must be highly proactive in its knowledge of the employees' parameters. The council has to ask the hard questions and take the high road when it comes to their discussions and decisions on these major town issues. Returning the governing back to the town council provides the basis for towns to prove that they can be efficient and cost conscious. This is a process that's been started under some duress in the last couple of years, and I want to commend and thank Sarah and Neil for their efforts, along with Chris and Hank, for trying to align this council with some common sense approaches to major issues. To the incoming council, this will be your chance to set the town tone for the very life of small town and local rule. The pressure is real, the incentives are going to be addictive, and it will be up to you to decide which direction you take the town. And I would close with an edict from Henry Graydon, who led the Irish fight for independence in the late 1700s. And he said in short, control over local affairs is the essence of liberty. That concludes my statement. I thank you, and I'd like to ask that these be included with the minutes of this meeting.
Thank you.
Sorry, Michelle, I have to. My wife told me not to speak tonight, but after hearing the person behind me say about throwing stones at a glass house and condemning members of the town board, we have people that's right up in front that continuously slam other members of the town board. Now, my wife and I don't come to these meetings simply so that you board members can work out your differences. But it's very hard, very difficult to see on the videos two specific persons in particular slamming board members and trying to do their jobs. I agree with you. We got to stop this. I agree. Absolutely. But you can't have, just like what was said just now, criticizing everything that's going on. You know? And you can't have a guy like this guy over here criticizing a local Elks Lodge that does tremendous amount of stuff for the county, for the residents. And I think that, in my view, Mr. Vanderberg should resign before lawsuits come around. And we don't need any more lawsuits. We've done that a couple years ago. Let's move on with all this nonsense. Sorry, Michelle. Done.
Any other comments before Skip speaks again? Okay, Skip.
Well, I do not believe this town or any other town can really run them using all the personal animosities that's tossed around here. And it isn't one person, it's by many people. I think some method, if you can find one in this world to stop that, it's damn near time you do it.
Any other comments? Motion to close.
I'll make a motion to close.
Okay.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, moving on to council member remarks. Just quickly in response to John, there's a 90-day period to turn around a corrective action plan because this town board will not have the authority or ability to move forward with the corrective action plan, we're moving it to the next board, to address. We did the main sort of big ticket items, of concern were, basically an outsized fund balance, relative to the size of the town. There was a recommendation to, establish a reserve fund, so we're doing that tonight. We introduced a resolution last month in the amount of $500,000. It would be a general reserve fund, so basically, there's no, need to, anytime a capital reserve fund is set up, residents have the ability to petition for a referendum. If it's a specific reserve, it would go to, the petition for referendum would go at the outset when you establish the reserve fund, you know all this. But for everyone else in the room, for a general reserve fund, the money, that the town council can establish the reserve fund, and then when the money is proposed for use, residents may petition for referendum. Either way, the residents of the town have a full voice in deciding whether or not that money actually gets used at the end of the day. The other main concerns were, annual, basically budgeting more than we used on certain town lines. And so that was certainly addressed in the 2018 budget. We basically were budgeting much more conservatively than we needed to. And so didn't wanna overspend at the end of the year and have to draw from fund balance. Well, that didn't really make sense because we had a good cushion. So basically, the town was overtaxing people. So in this 2018 budget that was passed, we went the other way. You know, if an annual we looked at, you know, spending in the last few years. If we had, you know, budgeted $40,000 a year just because that's what we had budgeted, we looked and said, okay, if we spent 32 in 2015, 38 in 2016, 37 in 2017, we'd say, let's just call it 30. You know, try to keep it within the budget line, but if we need to go over, let's do an amendment to use fund balance, and that way, we're not overtaxing the residents anymore at this rate. There were also some concerns about the town clerk tax receiver functions. Some of those have been addressed, basically. Every one of them?
Yeah, I did them last year when they were here. I took care of everything last year when they were here.
And that's just really something the new town council will have to maintain oversight over.
Yeah.
I just want to say thank you to every resident of the town of Palatine for the last 4 years. It's been an incredible privilege to serve. This job is one that's not easy, but it's important. And I will say that I'm a little relieved not to have to do it anymore. These meetings are hard, obviously. There's no way to do the job that everybody wants you to do, no matter how much time or care or passion you put into it. But for these past 4 years, I'm just so privileged that I had the honor to serve this town. I love the people here. I said, right when I started, I said, this is heaven on earth. It is, it still is. I've seen some ugly sides of it that I wish I hadn't, but at the end of the day, I come out, you know, a more experienced person, and I love this town as much as ever. And I wish the new town council all the very best in their work, and I do hope that that going forward, folks will make things a little bit easier, approach each other with a little more care, a little more compassion and kindness. And I especially want to thank Councilmember Yurden, who has gone above and beyond in every way possible. I got a new job in January, which made this job a little more difficult. I didn't have the flexibility I used to, and just while I was out traveling, Neil was holding it down, and never, you know, asked me to take credit or kudos or any of that. You just did the work because it's the right thing to do, and I just thank you so much for that.